This is meant to be a bit live and a bit interactive. So if you are watching, you're welcome to jump in the chat and say hi. And let me know where you're from. That would be a good thing to know. But plan for tonight is I'm going to present to you a bit of information about how we got debt-free and the big change that it was in our lives. It was a real massive change. So I really want to get that across, and I hope I do. So if you do at any time want to say something, please do go ahead and jump in the chat. There's a chat button. If you're watching from your phone, you'll see that in at the bottom. If you're watching from a laptop, you'll see that obviously again along the bottom. All right, let's just dig right into it. So first off, a little bit about us. So my wife and I, we've been married for 15 years now, 15 years this fall. And we were married still campus students, which was great. We graduated from school and got our first jobs and started making great money, which was awesome. Problem was we weren't in any control of it. We didn't really know that at the time. As time went on, what happened was we eventually wanted to have a kid, and the goal was to have a house before we had a kid. In Winnipeg, that's possible. And so we saved up some and we bought a house. Now, when my wife went on mat leave, my wife's a nurse. When she went on mat leave, she was actually making more than me. And so our plan was, we had been paying off a little bit of debt beforehand. We managed to pay off our first car, for instance, right? We had paid off a little bit of debt, but we weren't really in control of our money in any real way. And when we now bought the house, we wanted to buy the house. What we decided to do was we keep living the same way we've been living, and with the goal of saying, when you go back to work, we'll pay off all the debt. And so we planned to keep this living the exact same way and go into debt. Like, we purposely went into debt. And what happened was over that year that my wife was on mat leave, we racked up $12,000 of debt. It was crazy. And what we then got back to it when she got back to work, the big thing we didn't take into account, and it was dumb because we're kids, was daycare. We did not consider daycare. And so in the end, my wife goes back to work, and now all of a sudden, all of our money for debt that we had been putting toward debt repayment was all of a sudden not working. It was all of a sudden, there was nothing there to put on. And so that began the period of struggle in our marriage financially. That was 2010 when my son was born. And from the years 2010, so that first year, we, like I said, on mat leave, we went on $12,000 more in debt. We had a few other things with that. Of course, we had to buy a van at that point, and so we went out and bought a brand new van. Big waste of money there. Big stupidity issue there. And from 2010 until 2016, we really made no progress. In fact, not just no progress, we made negative progress. Okay. By the time 2016 came around, so we had been saying that whole time, okay, the line of credit where we put all that debt while you were on mat leave, that's our focus. That's what we're going to hit hard. And by the end of it, it was actually higher, right? Like we had come out of mat leave with $12,000 in debt. And by the time we were in December 2015, January 2016, we were in $18,000 on that line of credit. Just crazy. In addition to the van loan, in addition to everything else. So bottom line is, we didn't know what we were doing. And that's when I discovered Dave Ramsey. That's when I discovered that there was actually people paying off their homes. And that really blew my mind. Like, are you allowed to do that? Like, is that okay? And so I then proceeded to listen more and more and more. And I listened to these debt-free screams. I listened to what Dave was saying. And I liked what he was saying. I liked this idea. And I got excited about this idea of paying off our home. But I still thought I was smarter than I needed to be. So for instance, I didn't stop using my credit cards. And so I did things my way, right? My wife was not on board at all. She wasn't excited to do this at all with me, but that's fine. And so what I decided to do was I would just let's do whatever I can. And I did. I worked hard, and I actually brought in extra money. I went out and I cut the budget wherever I could, and it didn't seem like there was much to cut. And then I went out and I earned extra money. I picked up extra work at my job. I'm a university math instructor. I'm able to pick up extra courses, so I did that. I picked up a couple extra courses, and in the end, things are going pretty well. We were actually making progress, but the whole time, it was really annoying because I was making these budgets, right? And I would sit down for hours on end and create this, because I love spreadsheets. I'm a total nerd. I'm a math instructor. Okay. So I would sit down and make these spreadsheets that were massive and detailed and all these things. And then the month would come and nothing would work. Like, it just wouldn't work. Like, I would never stick to it. And I could never figure out a way to stick to it. And I could never figure out what was wrong. Why wasn't it working? And literally that lasted the entire time we were getting out of debt. Like, I was committed to this in the sense that I wanted the paid off house, but I was still doing so many things Dave-ish. And in the end, I was not making the progress, and I certainly could not get a budget under control to save my life. Okay. So that's a little bit about us. That paints a picture a little bit about what our lives were like. It was very, very tough, very frustrating, not being able to see progress. Now, that said, when we did get on the Dave Ramsey program, this graph here gives you an idea what it was like when we started our marriage in 2011 here. This is the graph showing our debt. And we went up and down and up and down, and it was starting on a downward trajectory, which is good. But then in January 2016, that's when we started the Dave Ramsey plan, again, ish, in the beginning. And you can see how it just dropped, which was awesome, right? It actually paid off, and it paid off quickly. If you don't know about Dave Ramsey, I thought I would throw this slide in just in case anybody hasn't heard of him. But he's a personal money management expert on a national radio show in the U.S., Southern U.S., he's done six best-selling books. He's born in 1960, and his story goes like this. He actually accumulated about $4 million in real estate and $250,000 a year income by the age of 26, which was incredible in, I guess that would have been 1986. But then by the time he was 30, he was bankrupt. And what happened was, it was no fault of his own, but except that he was leveraged to the hilt. He was borrowing other people's money to be able to do this, and the bank got nervous that a 26-year-old kid had millions of dollars in debt, and so they called his notes, and it all unraveled. At 32, he started a business to provide financial coaching and radio show. That was 25 years ago, and so today his net worth is worth around $55 million. He has gotten millions and millions of people out of debt. I love their mission statement. And by the way, I'm not actually associated with them at all. I haven't been certified by them at all. I'm not a coach on their team. I'm not paid by them at all. I get no affiliates from them. But the program did change my life. Their mission statement is Ramsey Solution provides biblically based common sense education and empowerment that give hope to everyone in every walk of life. I really appreciate that. And it means a lot to me now looking back. Saving must become a priority, not just a thought. Pay yourself first. And I thought I would throw this stat out here for you. I've got this one to share on Instagram coming up. 95% of Canadians have at least one credit card. 47% of people maintain a balance, don't pay off a balance every month. And 70% of those who maintain a balance feel like, if you ask them, feel like they can't pay it off within a year. Well, if you take the population of Canada and multiply out those three numbers, you get 11.7 million Canadians who have a credit card, have a balance, and don't feel like they can pay it off within a year. Okay? This is the situation we're in Canada today. It's absolutely insane. That's almost a third of the population of Canada, or to be more specific, it's about the equivalent of the entire populations of BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and throw in New Brunswick just for good measure. It's pretty insane, the struggles that Canadians are having with money these days. Especially when in Canada we have so much money. Like, we are some of the wealthiest people on the planet. Now, let me give you an example of that proves this is true. In Canada, we have access to something called a TFSA, the tax-free savings account. And the word savings account is a bit of a misnomer that you can actually put stocks, you can put mutual funds, you can put whatever in there. Okay. If a 30-year-old couple today partially funds a TFSA at $500 a month, okay, that's the equivalent of one TFSA for a two-person couple, right? So if they stick to $500 a month, only $500 a month at 12% interest for the next 40 years, they'll have $6 million. Now that's assuming it's invested well and all these things, and it's tax-free. In other words, there's zero taxes on that money. That's insane. That it's 70 years old, that just putting away $500 a month for 40 years, you're going to be a multi-millionaire. If that same couple funds a TFSA for $5,500, so what have I got? Yeah, so partially funds a TFSA $500 a month. Now let's fill it up. $5,500 a year. It's actually up to $6,000 now. They'll have $10 million tax-free. They do a second TFSA. That's what that is, right? So $5 million from the first, another $5 million from the second, essentially. If that same couple spent another 15% or $500 a month into an RRSP, they'd have another $5.9 million. That one will be taxed. But altogether, that's $11 million they could have. And this couple isn't making a ton. They're putting away $1,000 a month. Now, $1,000 a month, any one of us would look at that and say, oh, that's a lot of money. But only because we're not controlling our money. Only because, like, you think about it, some of the poorest people in Canada, like the poverty line, is somewhere around $30,000. Think about that. $30,000. That's a lot. If you make $50,000 a year household income, $60,000 a year household income, $70,000 a year household income, you're telling me you can't invest 12? 12 of the 60? 12 of the 70? Right? 12 of the 30? Okay, that might be a little tough. But 12 of 60? That's not unreasonable. And don't get me into you're making $100,000 a year. Like, there's something wrong if we can't save money here in Canada. So many people in Canada are making a lot of money. We have nothing to show for it. So his saying is, normal is broke, be weird. Normal in America is stressed out, overexpended, living paycheck to paycheck, and 1 month away from financial disaster. That's what I'm looking for. I want Canadians to be weird. And I love that. I'll give you one quote from the Total Money Makeover. This is his #1 book. Find a mirror. I have a big challenge for you. Are you ready to take on the guy or girl in your mirror? If you are, you're ready to win. I rediscovered God's and Grandma's simple way of handling money. Wealth building isn't rocket science, which is a good thing for me and probably for you. Winning at money is 80% behavior and only 20% head knowledge. What to do isn't the problem. Doing it is. Most of us know what to do, but we just don't do it. And of course, the obvious comparison, if I can control the guy in the mirror, I can be skinny and rich. We'll let the other books work on skinny, and I'll help you with the rich part. No, there are no secrets, and yes, this will be very hard. Hey, if it were easy, every moron walking would be wealthy. I love that quote because it's so true. Making money, saving money, it's not much different than eating healthy. And I know that's something I struggle with too, like many other Canadians, right? So money is something that it shouldn't be as hard as it is, but it is. It's hard. So what I want to go over here is some of the absolute keys to a budget. And these are keys now. So when I look back on our debt-free journey, like I said earlier, I was committed to making this budget, and I was committing to making this happen. And yet it never happened. For 2 solid years, trying to get out of debt, trying to build a budget, it never happened successfully. Now, when I say that, I mean, we were still successful. We still paid off the debt. But when I look back, now that I've got this, now that I actually figured it out, we could have done it so much faster. I mean, the amount we're saving now is incredible in comparison. So here we go. What are the main paradigms? I really want to get you value on this webinar today. What are the main keys to do a budget right? #1, first main paradigm around a budget is that it's actually got to be made. As silly as that sounds, it actually has to be made. You actually have to sit down and be intentional with your money. And this is not a common thing these days, because the common knowledge, even in the personal finance space these days, is that budgets don't work. And that to me now is just hilarious and sad, because people even in the personal finance world, even the world of financial advisors and people trying to help people with their money, they've gotten to a point where they say budgets don't work. Budgets are useless. Don't even try to budget. And I look at that and I'm just shocked. Like, no, it totally works if you do it right. So the first key point, the first key paradigm around making a budget is believe that it works. It has worked for millions and millions of people over many, many years, and it will work for you too. Okay, so remember, step one, you have to believe. Step number two is a faith step. Step number two is it has to be a zero-based budget. Now, this is something it took me a few months to figure out and understand what it meant. A zero-based budget, the idea is this. First day of the month, nothing is true anymore. First day of the month, the first day of this coming month, nothing will be true. We are going to start from scratch and ask the question, okay, I've got this much income coming in. Where is it going to be spent? I don't care what happened last month. I don't care what happened 6 months ago. I don't even care what's going to happen 2 months from now or 3 months from now. I care about this month. Where is the money going to go? And so with a zero-based budget, the way you do it is you start by at the top of the page, write down, and you can do this on paper even, but at the top of the page, write down the income you're actually going to bring in this month. And I don't mean around $3,000. No, $3,295.27 or whatever. Okay, whatever your actual income is, write that down, top of the page, and then you go down the page, spending every penny you're going to make this month. Okay, so you start with the most important thing. Most important thing is food. Next after that is your utilities. You keep your utilities going. Next after that is your housing. Don't get kicked out of your house. Next after that is your transportation. Be able to get to work, right? Do those four things first. Those are called the four walls. And then you keep going and you spend every penny you've got. Now, what I mean by spend is some of the categories might be savings. So you actually might be at some point in that list, in that priority list, you get down to a point and you say, okay, now I'm going to save $300. Okay, great. But you keep going until every penny of that income has been spent. And so you're now down to $0 left. Okay, that's the first point, or that's the second main paradigm there, a zero-based budget. The difference here, and let me clarify, when I was making budgets, when I was trying to make budgets the first time and before I discovered Dave Ramsey, it was always this idea of an average month. This idea that, oh, well, let's take the total yearly expense and just divide everything by 12, essentially. Right. And so even my income was off because my wife was paid biweekly. And so some weeks we would have, or some months we would have 3 paychecks, some months we would have 2 paychecks. And so when you take the entire yearly and divide by 12, it's never correct, because that dollar value is not 2 paychecks and it's not 3 paychecks. It's somewhere in between. Right. So it was always wrong. And because of that, it's more theoretical than it is useful. And that was the reason I could never get it to work. So paradigm number 2, it has to be a zero-based budget. What's actually coming in this month, let's spend that money on paper, on purpose. Okay. Third, it has to be tracked. And this was, somebody said this on social media a little while ago. I really liked it. They said, a budget you don't track is only half a budget. And I'm like, yes, because that was one of the big things I got. Even when I got the zero-based budget, it still wasn't working. I was never sticking to it. And the reason came down to I wasn't tracking it. I had no technique, no system set up to be able to track how I was going to, how I was actually spending my money. Out of the Bible here, Proverbs 27:23 says, be sure to know the condition of your flocks. Give careful attention to your herds. Now, in the days when this was written, the Old Testament, in fact, your livelihood was your flocks. Your livelihood was everything you had, like in the condition of your flocks. And so if one of your sheep was sick, you should know, because if you don't know what's going on with your flocks. Oh, good Lord, what are you going to do? Right? Like, you need to know the condition of your flock so that you can actually make decisions. And if you just say, well, I've got 1,000 sheep and on average 10 of them will die this year, so probably Probably one of them will die this month. Like, that's not knowing the condition of your flocks. That's like, that's a theoretical idea. Instead, look at the actual, what's actually going on. And that includes tracking what actually happened this month. I budgeted $800 a month for rent. Did I actually spend my $800 a month in rent? I budgeted, and here's a big one, $1,000 this month for food and restaurants. Did I actually stick to that? That's a big one for a lot of people. That was a huge one for us. Okay, so paradigm number one, it has to be actually made. Paradigm number two, it has to be zero based. Paradigm number three, it has to be tracked. You cannot make a budget without tracking it. Paradigm number four is it has to be an easy budget. It has to be easy. And when I say easy, it has to be easy to make it. It has to be easy to be zero based. It has to be easy to be tracked. Because no matter how excited you are right now, no matter how much desire you have right now to be debt-free, to control your money and all that good stuff, you're going to get tired. We all get tired. And so the challenge of how do I not get tired? How do I not give up? You need it. You absolutely need it to be dead easy. And that was something I had no idea how to do when I was working on this, because I would spend hours in front of a spreadsheet. There was a while I would take all the receipts from all my spending that month and just stuff them into an envelope, into a Ziploc bag. And then, at the end of the month or at the end of the week or whenever I could get to it, I would take the receipts and start going through them. And oh, good Lord, have you ever done something so awful in your life? It was horrible, because you pick up this random receipt and the store name is already wiped away, and it was for $9.97 3 weeks ago. And you're like, I have no idea what this was. Like, I don't even know where I bought it and what the heck was it for. So to try to go and track it was just awful. And so you've got to have an easy way to do it. I'm going to share with you an easy way as we go. So where are we? Number 5, it has to be a proven plan. If you're going to do something with your money, if you're actually going to control your money, if you're going to put it somewhere, you should do something that has actually managed to produce results for other people. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We can just follow what somebody else has done and seen success with. It's called best practices, this idea, right? And so it should be a proven plan, something that has been proven, has a track record of actually working with people. And the last, which I got here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 6th main paradigm around a budget is focus. So not only do you need a proven plan, but within that plan, it needs focus. Because if that plan's got 17 different things you're going to focus on, you haven't focused on anything. So the power of focusing on one thing has massive, massive power to it. All right. And this is what the baby steps are. If you've never heard of baby steps, if you've never heard of Dave Ramsey, this is the baby steps. And to me, it satisfies certainly the proven plan and the focus. Proven plan, he's done with millions of people. He's helped millions of people. He has helped more people get out of debt than anyone on the planet, certainly. And that includes paying off your house. So if you don't know, baby step 1, starter $1,000 emergency fund. Baby step 2, take all other money, everything you've got, and throw it at the debt in the debt snowball, ordering your debt smallest to largest by balance to deal with the mental aspect of it. So you throw everything you can at the debt. Baby step 3 is a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. So now that you're completely debt free, except for the house, just non-mortgage debt, baby step 3, save 3 to 6 months of expenses. Baby step 4, now that you've got the fully funded emergency fund, now you start saving on retirement. You don't do any saving on retirement until baby step 4. Start saving 15% of your income into retirement. Baby step 5, do something for kids' college. That's important. And baby step 6, pay off the home early. Okay. Once the home's paid off, you're now in baby step 7, which is just build wealth and give a bunch away. This plan works. It has been used by millions and millions of people to get out of debt successfully. It works. It really does work. And really, because it's based on what we said earlier, it's based more on 80% behavior and only 20% head knowledge. Okay. So for instance, the debt snowball, as I mentioned, you order it by, you pay first the smallest debt balance, the debt with the smallest balance. That's the one you throw everything at. You pay minimum payments on all the others, and you throw every other penny you've got at the smallest balance. And what if, and the question that comes up all the time is, well, what if that balance has only a 2% interest or even a 0% interest? It's a $500 loan from my grandma. Like, she's not charging me anything. I'm not even making any payments on that. Why would I pay that off first? The reason is the behavior. The reason is the mentalness of it. The reason is how awesome it will feel to pay off your grandma. That's really what it comes down to. And because it feels awesome, because it feels that awesome to pay her off, you will sacrifice deeper, and you will cut deeper, and you will actually get out of debt faster. And this is not crazy. This is proven, scientifically proven. People who go on pay the debt snowball, instead of the mathematically correct way. The mathematically correct way is pay the highest interest rate first. Obviously, if you've got a 0% loan from your grandma, but you've got even a mortgage, well, you should pay that off first, because you're paying interest on that. You're not paying interest to your grandma. Mathematically, that's the correct way to go. But in reality, the debt snowball of going from lowest balance to highest balance will more people stick to it, and the people that stick to it get out of debt faster. Okay. Anyway, so it's much more about behavior than it is about math. Much more it is about behavior than it is about head knowledge. So on this brings up my membership. And the whole reason I created this membership was because I wanted to pass along this information I've been missing, that I was missing 5 years ago. One is the proven system. The fact that the Dave Ramsey plan does work, and it works for Canadians too. But second, I want to add on to that the how-to of what it looks like for a Canadian to live this way. And how do you do it in a way where you can keep doing it even when you're tired? So what I did with this, I created a 5-module course with covering lots and lots of hows, the details on how to actually get this done. And so that's included with the membership. You get access to the course. But the bigger deal, I'll say, is the member webinars, member calls, where we actually get on these member calls. It's open to all members, and people can come on and deal with their particular struggles, talk about their particular questions and their particular issues, and get those dealt with, quickly. Like, my goal is that whatever you pay on this membership, I want you to get returns on that in spades. I want you to see instant, like if you're going to pay the membership fee for that, I want to see at least double that in the first month. Like, I want to see massive return. And so I want these member calls to be times where we can sit down together, go over the details, and in your particular circumstance, okay, how can we see some massive movement this month, this week, right? Quickly. And then the budget workshop. So I've just recently created these where one of the benefits of membership is all members get a chance, if they want, to share with me their real numbers. And I will even do some of the hard work for you. I will sit down and I will make that budget for you, where as much as possible, I'll go into the details of your life. We'll get you to share everything with me as much as you're willing. I will then anonymize it all and make a video of me making a budget, a detailed budget explaining step by step how I go about it, and where I think you should go next. Okay, so that's the budget workshops. That's one of the big benefits right now. If you're interested in this, check out wepayoffdebt.ca/membership, and you'll find the details for the membership there. But if you stick around to the end, I've got a special deal for people who are just on this webinar. So make sure you stick around for that. All right. Next up, let's talk about the do's and don'ts of winning financially in Canada. Let's actually give you some value. I really want you to leave this webinar with some massive value, things that are going to make you change how you're doing things and actually do things better. So here we go. Number one, the most important do I can stress is do a budget. Again, specifically to you, specific to the month, a zero-based budget. It's got to be a non-negotiable that you are going to make a budget and you are going to follow it through. When you're doing this, you can look through your history. You can look through the last few months and ask the question, okay, what's this month going to look like? How is this month going to be different, right? You can sit down and talk with your spouse about what's going to happen this month, because like when you're making that budget, you're going to be bad at it for a little while. because it's a whole new way of thinking. And it takes a while to get used to it. And so things will often come up that, oh, shoot, I forgot there's swimming lessons this month. Or, oh, shoot, I forgot we're getting some extra money there. Or, oh, shoot, I forgot. And so it gets annoying the first few months where you're doing this because you're constantly updating the budget. And I'll get that to that point in a sec. But it's a good idea to communicate with your spouse, talk with them, ask them questions about what they think is going to happen this month. None of us knows the future for sure, but we can get a lot more accurate than we think we can sometimes. Okay. So number one is do track the budget, do make a budget. Number two, do track it. Okay. Now, the easiest way, in my opinion, to do this, the absolute easiest way is with the app Every Dollar. I've been using it now for a long, long time. And what it allows you to do is easily on your phone enter the transactions that you spent this today. Like I will literally, my process is I will open up my CIBC app, I will open up the Every Dollar app, and I will just switch back and forth. I will switch to the CIBC app. Okay, there's the next transaction I haven't recorded. Switch back to Every Dollar, enter the transaction, and done. Switch back to CIBC. Oh, there's the next transaction. Switch back to Every Dollar, enter the transaction. And literally, if there's 10 transactions that I haven't recorded yet, I'm done in 5 minutes. Like it's a really short process. And it's so easy. I can do it at 9:30 at night. I'm lying in bed, exhausted, a long day, whatever, right? Like it's not hard. And that was something important I mentioned earlier, that you've got to keep it easy. Tracking has got to be the expectation. You've got to build that into your paradigm, your mind, saying, I'm going to track no matter what. Third paradigm, third do update it. And what I mean by update it is when the budget changes, change the budget. And it sounds so dumb to say it that way because it's just completely obvious. But I was the guy who I would make a budget the first of the month, and I thought that budget had to stay the same. And what I mean by that is this, that I would budget, let's say $1,000 a month for food, and we actually went to $1,200. And at the end of the month, it would show me as $200 over budget. And when I think about that now, I don't see it anymore. What's the advantage of that? That I know I was $200 over the budget I made up before the month began, when I had no idea what the month was going to be. Like, what's the advantage of that? Instead, what do you mean by change it? It means that if the budget was $1,000 and you're now at, let's say, the 20th, 25th of the month, you go to the grocery store and you actually go over. You've now spent $1,020. You're $20 over budget. What that means is now you go into your budget and you say, okay, I need to change the budget from $1,000 to $1,020. And when you do that, you've now spent $20 more than you had originally spent. And so that $20 more, because it's going to be a zero-based budget still, has to come out of somewhere else. You need to consciously say, okay, I spent $1,020 on food. Now I'm not going to spend $20 on whatever. And then if you do it again, or even at the same time, you realize, you know what, I spent now $1,020 in groceries, but I've also got a grocery pickup in a week or something that I've already paid for, or I have to pay for still. Like I'm going to spend more, and that's before the end of the month. Well, then you should up your budget to what you think you're actually going to spend this month. And yes, that means you have to lower it again. And again, this is why the Every Dollar app is so awesome. You can do this really easily when you change a budget in Every Dollar. By the way, if you don't know what Every Dollar is, check out wepayoffdebt.ca/everydollar. Okay, if you go there, you'll see I've given some details there how to get the Every Dollar app. There's a bit of trickiness to get it in Canada, and as well, there's a PDF there you can download of the actual steps I take to track my budget and do it easily. So definitely check that out. wepayoffdebt.ca/everydollar. EVERYDOLLAR. One word. Okay. Anyway, so every single time the budget changes, you update it. And when you do that in Every Dollar, you change the 1,000 to a 1,020, and now says you're $20 over budget. And so now you can go to a different category and change that $20 the other direction, and it'll say at the end at the top, you now have an Every Dollar budget. Okay, so do update it. Number 4, do communicate with your spouse. When you're doing these things, when you're keeping a budget and tracking it and doing all this stuff, do talk to your spouse about it. Make money conversation easy. Now, it's not going to be easy to start, so make it normal. Okay? We want it to get to easy, but we'll take normal for now. Make it normal to talk about money. Okay, the data shows, the science shows that married couples who are not working together do not succeed nearly as well as married couples who are working together financially. Okay, when you have to agree on your money, what it forces you to agree on is your values, the things that are important to you, the decisions you want to make. Okay, so definitely communicate with your spouse. And lastly, do set goals to get out of debt fast. So when you're paying off debt and when you're deciding how much am I actually going to pay off debt, how much am I going to cut my expenses, how much am I going to raise my income, all these things, make a plan that you're going to be out of debt fast. If your debt payoff plan is 5 years, very, very few people actually maintain for 5 straight years. It's hard. 5 years is a long slog, no matter how old you are. 5 years is a long slog. Being on the Dave Ramsey plan, most people pay off all their debt in 18 to 24 months. Okay, that's the average. Now, some people with crazy, especially student loan debt, massive student loan debt, some people take as much as 3 years. But anything past that is too long. You've got to set a goal to get out of debt fast. So what I would say is when you're deciding on your how much to throw on debt, take your entire debt load and divide by 24 and aim to get that much every single month, or divide by 18, but somewhere between 18 and 24 months to get out of debt. As much as possible, make that the plan. Sacrifice, cut, do it, make more money, do it, pick up a side job, whatever is necessary to get there. It's totally, totally worth it. All right, so that's the do's. The don'ts. Don't, first off, criticize yourself. It's so easy to look at your past and think, man, I was dumb. Man, I can't believe I did that. I was so stupid to do that. Yes, we all do that. We're all good at that. Don't do it. Okay? Don't criticize yourself. There's no value in that. Just shut down the criticism. Say, when those thoughts come in, say, I'm not going to think like that. It's not worth it. Okay? I struggle with that too. Just say, I'm not going to think that way. Even if you have to say it out loud, say it out loud. But don't think that way. Criticism is not going to get you anywhere. You can't change the past. That's what it comes down to. You can't change the past. All you can do is, what am I going to do moving forward? Okay? And second, don't look only through the rearview mirror. So some people, when they're really trying to get their finances on straight, one thing they'll do is they say, okay, I'm going to track my spending. I'm going to track what I actually spend on. And that's good. I just spent a bunch of time telling you how important tracking is to a budget. But you can't just track. When you track, what you're doing is kind of like watching through the rearview mirror while you're driving. All you're seeing is the stuff that's past. All you're seeing is the stuff that's gone by. You don't know what's going to come, but you still want to look through the front. You still want to look through a windshield. That's your budget, your plan. Where do I think I'm going? Where do I want to go? Look forward. Yes, the back will inform what you're doing going forward, but never, ever just look through the rearview mirror. It's a good way to crash. Don't do that. Don't stay off the wagon, right? If you fall off the wagon with this program, if you fall off the wagon with a budget, if you fall off the wagon with tracking, get back on. Part of the benefit of being an easy plan, creating a system that's easy to track and easy to budget, is that it's easy to get back on when you fall off. Okay? Super important. Don't stay off the wagon. Fourth, and this is controversial, don't invest in retirement. Don't invest in kids' college. Don't pay extra on the house. Don't do anything else until the debt's paid off. Don't even have a big emergency fund. The reason, again, is the focus. That when you actually powerfully focus on what you're going to do, you can achieve crazy results. Focus is what gets things done. What you focus on gets done. Okay? When you were dating your wife, when you wanted to get married, you were focusing on your wife. When you were dating your husband, your soon-to-be husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, you were focused on them. And because you focused on them, things got done, right? Okay. If you don't focus on something, it doesn't get done. And another way to put that is you can't accidentally get out of debt. You can wander into debt. Dave Ramsey says this all the time. You can wander into debt, but you can't wander out of debt. Okay. Last up, don't give the government too much money. This is a pet peeve of mine. And it's something that always bothered me listening to the Dave Ramsey show when I was getting started, because I would hear these guys who were making, 40, 50 grand a year, and they paid off half of it, 25 grand in a year. And I'm like, where'd their taxes go? Because I know if I make 50 grand a year, I'm paying like 20 in taxes. That's what it feels like sometimes. And the reason it feels like that, as I've done my research and I've looked into it, the Canadian government has this thing where they say they're going to use the paradigm of, we're going to take more money from you and then give you some back. And it all comes back, many, many years ago, apparently this was not the case. And the CRA, the government, turned into this massive tax collection agency, because that's all they did was just collect tax money from people. But we have the opposite problem today, is that if you got let's use a round number, if you got $6,000 as a family tax refund last year, $6,000 is $500 a month for 12 months. Okay. That means what actually happened, like that tax refund is not a gift. It's not, Santa Claus doesn't live in Ottawa. What it is you paid for the entire year. Like if you got $6,000 this past spring, 2020, then in 2019, it means that you paid $500 a month too much in your taxes. That means in January 2019, you were entitled to $500 more take home than you got, because $500 went to the government, and then they gave it back to you, 15 months later, the following March? Then February 2019, you overpaid your taxes by $500. Then March 2019, you overpaid your taxes by $500. April 2019, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, every single month you overpaid your taxes by $500. $500 you could have had in your hands. You could have put towards your debt. You could have put towards your priorities. And instead, you gave it to the government. They held on to it. And then they gave it back to you. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I want my money. And so I've been working hard to get my money back, just not give my money to the government in the first place, or at least give them the exact appropriate amount. That's been my goal. 5 years of working on this now, I have lowered my tax refund substantially, but I'm still getting a tax refund, okay? It's still worth trying. It's still worth doing it, because this is so important to get your money faster so that you can actually accomplish your goals with it. Okay, that's the don'ts. So let me tell you a bit about the course that I designed inside the membership, okay? The introduction, we talk about what's actually possible. Some of the examples the example I gave earlier about making millions of dollars, even making minimum wage, investing 15%, is doable. To be a millionaire in Canadian society today, we are so ridiculously blessed. We've got to get our money under control. I've got a full course on how to make the budget, what that looks like, a lot of the details I gave here and more. I've got a whole course special on mastering your food budget, because the food budget is one of these things that people really struggle with. People really struggle with in every area, right? Mastering your food budget is one of these key things that people have a lot of trouble with. And then I got 2 other courses, Getting Off the Ground. So this covers the starting points and the struggles with getting started. And then the 4 F's of budgeting. One of those is failure, for instance, right? This is how you deal with setbacks. Excuse me. How you deal with setbacks and roadblocks along the way. Okay. So it's a 5-module course. And then there's even some bonus material with that. I've got one on there on money myths, dealing with leases and payday loans. I've got one in there on it didn't make it in my slide. One in there on getting your spouse on board. That's one a lot of people struggle with. They're all excited about the Dave Ramsey plan, and they're all excited to get on board with this, and their spouse is not. I've got a whole video on that. And then lastly, how to add straight up $1,000 to your budget. sometimes like you can only cut so much. At some point, you got to go out there and make more money. And so I've actually got a whole course on how to add $1,000 to your budget quickly and get that done. Everything else in the membership, the main thing, as I said, were the member calls, and you also get the recordings of all the past member calls there's been. Okay, so you actually get to sit down and watch the member calls and see the different questions people had, the different struggles people had, and see how they were dealt with. You get the budget workshop. So if you want to share your data with me, share your numbers with me, give me everything, I will actually create this budget for you on video, walking you through, showing you step by step with your numbers how to actually go about making a budget. And all the best worksheets and downloadable tools that I've created over time for myself and for my tribe, everything is up there on the course membership for instant download availability. Okay, so this is a great deal. To pay for it, there's two options available right now. One is the one-on-one coaching. If you're looking for some really dedicated one-on-one, I will walk with you all the way through from not knowing how to budget to all the way to debt-free and beyond. That is a special package. I've only got a few of those available, and I charge $997 for a 3-month commitment on that. Okay, that one's not cheap because it's one-on-one time, very intense, just dedicated, me and you, let's get this done. But the membership is much cheaper. And in fact, for today, if you sign up today, I've got a special trial offer to check out. If you sign up today, if you head over to wepayoffdebt.ca/trial, what you'll get is there is a $1 trial to actually get access for the first month. You can get in for the first month at $1. That's it, $1, and see how valuable this is. And that's the thing. I'm convinced you will see the value if you actually come to the member calls. If you check out the course, you will see how valuable this is, and stick around to pay a full price next month. It's totally worth it, even at full price. But I know people are, struggling with debt. They're really hesitant to actually pay money for help. Again, my goal is whatever money you give me to help you get out of debt, I want you to get back 1,000 times that instantly in value of dealing with your debt. Okay. Looking back, some of the stuff that I've learned now, I would have paid a lot of money to have somebody teach it to me 4 years ago when I was just starting this process, because man, was it annoying. Oh my gosh, months and months and months of trying and failing over and over and over. Man, to have something like this would have been really valuable. So definitely check it out. wepayoffdebt.ca/trial. Okay. So definitely wanted to open up a Q&A, but it doesn't look like anybody's here anymore. So we'll leave it at that. If you're watching a replay of this, definitely go ahead and comment wherever you are. Comment if you're watching this on Facebook, comment there. If you're watching this on YouTube, comment there. If you don't want to comment in public, go ahead and email me, rob@wepayoffdebt.ca. I would love to offer whatever help I can. Hopefully you found this useful. Hope you found some real value in this. And I really hope there's some that you'll consider taking up the trial offer. Okay, so definitely check it out, wepayoffdebt.ca/trial. If you need anything, definitely reach out. I'm happy to help with whatever I can. Again, there's my email. You'll find me on Facebook. You'll find me on all the social medias. And yeah, have a good one. We'll leave it there. Talk to you again soon.